All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a concept in the Spring framework that honestly saves developers from a world of headaches: component scanning. Okay, so if you've ever had to work on, an older Java application, you probably remember the absolute pain of manually configuring every single piece of your program. It was just slow, so tedious, and a recipe for frustrating errors. Let's start by just looking at how bad it really was.
So before Spring brought in all this great automation, developers literally had to tell the framework about every single object, or bean as Spring calls them, that it needed to manage. This whole process was known as manual wiring. And it looked a little something like this. Yeah, tons of these clunky XML files where you defined every single component and then had to painstakingly wire all of its dependencies together by hand. I mean, for a big application, you could be looking at thousands of lines of this stuff. It made the whole system super brittle and a nightmare to maintain.
Okay, so this manual mess was obviously tedious and just begging for human error, which is exactly why the Spring team came up with a much more powerful and honestly elegant solution. And this is where things get really cool. It's a fundamental shift, right? Instead of you telling Spring about every single component, Spring just finds them for you. Think of it like this. The old way was like handing a librarian a card for every single book you wanted to check out. The new way? You just put a special sticker on the books and let the librarian scanner find them automatically on the shelves. It's a huge move from explicit declaration to automatic detection.
Okay, but how does Spring actually know which classes to pick up, right? How does it spot those special stickers on the shelf? Well, the answer is a really simple three-step process.
Yeah, it's just this simple three-step dance, and it's all powered by these special markers called stereotype annotations. All you have to do is mark your classes with the right annotation, Spring scans for them when the app starts up, and then boom, it automatically creates and manages them for you. Simple as that.
But here's the thing. These annotations are more than just markers to say, hey, I'm a bean. They actually signal the architectural role of that component. So, at repository, that basically tells you, hey, this class talks to the database. At service says, this is where all the business logic lives. And at controller, well, that marks the entry point from the web. It just makes the code's intent so much clearer for anyone who has to read it later.
So finding the beans is just step one. The real magic, the real payoff, comes when Spring automatically connects them all together. This is a process you probably know as dependency injection, or more simply, auto-wiring.
And this slide just shows the difference perfectly. I mean, look at the left. That's the old way, manually creating objects, connecting them all up. But on the right, Spring does all that heavy lifting for you. You just add that one little @AutoWired annotation, and Spring finds the exact bean you need and just injects it for you. It's a game changer. And this is exactly why it matters so much. You write way less configuration, which means you make fewer errors, and you can actually focus on building the business logic of your application, the stuff that actually matters, not on all the plumbing that holds it together.
So, in the modern era, Spring Boot has taken this whole concept of automation and just supercharged it. It's made it even more seamless, and honestly, it's pretty much the default way of working now. Right, if you've ever started a new Spring Boot project, you've definitely seen this annotation on your main class. Think of it as the master switch that turns on all the magic. And a big part of that magic is component scanning.
So by default, just by having that one annotation, a Spring Boot application is already set up to scan for your components. Right out of the box, it automatically scans the package where your main application class lives and every single sub-package below it. The whole process is just automatic from the very first line of code you write.
This incredible automation is fantastic for getting up and running quickly, for sure. But it does raise a really crucial question for any application that starts to grow, right? When all that magic isn't quite enough, how do you take back control? What happens when you need to tell Spring exactly what to scan, and maybe even more importantly, what to ignore?